Yet again, week number 2 of the range, bringing in new co-host Chris Galliot. Everybody remember this dude? We did a show last year when he was on, so we thought we'd bring him back. So I guess it's only fitting that he was on the range because he knows a wide range of topics. So Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's go. Unless we didn't make it clear last week, Doug's favorite team, the Yankees, finally clinched their ticket to the World Series. They got to face Ryan Howard, Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley. Should I go on with the weapons that Philadelphia has? But let's go ahead. Let's talk about it. Game 1's on Wednesday. So what y'all guys think about this game? Doug, start us off.
Well, it's CC Sabathia going against Cliff Lee. Both have been terrific in the postseason. Cliff Lee's 2-0 with .74 ERA. He's just been dominant, especially against lefties, only batting 165, and the Yankees are chock full of lefties. CC's been equally as good, giving up, or he's 205 average, with a 1.19 ERA and 3-0. It's going to be an interesting series. Both ballparks, the ball flies out relatively easy. But with these guys going in Game 1, I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair, but I do think the Yankees will take the series.
All right, Chris?
Philly.
Short and sweet. One thing I think that the Yankees have a lot of weapons.
Yes,
Mark Teixeira may have been struggling a little bit in the championship series, but you know what? Do you really think the Phillies will pitch to A-Rod? I don't think so. After seeing what he did, they will not pitch to A-Rod. So Mark Teixeira will see a lot more pitches. He's going to have a lot more chances to be a hero. And Derek Jeter, really has vein, blood, ice just through the veins because you just can't rattle this guy.
Yeah, that is true.
And if you have a chance to clinch, who's the best pitcher to put out there? Andy Pettitte. 5-0 in series clinching games in his career. 16 postseason victories, most all time. So, you got to give it to him. They have the pitching matchup. A.J. Burnett's good. But, it's going to be A.J. Burnett versus Pedro Martinez in Game 2. So we got A.J. Burnett, who's a good pitcher. But then you got the old guy in Pedro Martinez, who, I got to give it to him, didn't kind of stifle the Dodgers in Game 2. Stifled, the great hitting Rockies in the division series. So, Pedro has a little juice again. But who knows Pedro the best? The Yankees. So, with that one, I gotta give the Yankees the edge in 6.
Yeah, I was picking the Yankees in 6, and I think the first one's going to be probably the best game.
Yeah, it's going to be the best pitching matchup.
Yes, definitely.
And don't be surprised if we see that same matchup in Game 4.
Possibly.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take another break.
All right, we're taking another break. Up next, we got Cleveland with another coach's rant on the range.
Well, the first week of the Michael Crabtree era of the 49ers, 5 catches, 54 yards. Not bad for a guy who had his first game. But to be passing up a guy who he said he needed better money than, I guess you got your money's worth. Because a guy like Darius Hayward-Bay only has 4 catches all year. He's played 7 games, 4 catches, and only has 64 yards of receiving. Come on, that's a little pathetic for me. So if I was Darius Hayward-Bay, I'd grow a pair and try catching a few balls. Because seriously, you can't let a guy who just basically signed 2 weeks ago have more catches and almost as much yards as you do. The guy got his first down on the second pass he was thrown to. Darius Hayward-Bay had a career day on Sunday. 2 catches. Most he's had in a single game all season. So if I was Darius Hayward-Bay, I'd grow a pair, start catching some balls, probably get to the end zone a little bit more often. But, of course, you need a quarterback to do that for you. Maybe Jamarcus Russell really isn't the answer. Maybe he's not the #1 pick you thought he was. Just give it to Gradkowski. Let him run the rest of the season. And with that, I end today's coach's rant.
Welcome to NFL Talk here on the Range. Of course, I'm yours truly, Brendan Brown. We have Doug Cluss here. We have the one and only Cleveland in the building. We have the Honorable, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Honorable
Chris Galley.
Can't even say his name, right?
But we're going to start off, recapping, the games that we picked last week. First off, starting off with Atlanta at the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys winning 37-21. Honestly, this one took me by surprise. There was a +2 turnover margin that Atlanta had. The Cowboys had 10.3 yards per pass, and there were 3 touchdowns thrown by Tony Romo.
Boy, if that ain't a shock, I don't know what is.
Like I said, not interceptions, people, but touchdowns. And the Cowboys defense, monstrous with 4 sacks. And right now, it's really hurting me in the stomach to say this, but they did good. They did good. They did good.
Especially that one play at the end of the second half.
Yeah.
When Romo escaped the sacks and found Patrick Creighton for the touchdown.
Yeah, that really took the air out of the sails.
That was pretty good right there.
Yeah, but neither team could really run the football, so Tony Romo almost had to do it on his own.
Right. And usually, when you're asking Tony Romo to do it on his own, that's like asking for a death wish. But today, the Falcons, 1 week they're great, next week they're just there.
Yeah, they just showed her the game. And what I didn't like from Matt Ryan was just that he was trying to take too many shots upfield, and he was also trying to do too much to get the ball to Tony Gonzalez.
Well, the Cowboys did a great job of putting him in 3rd and long situations by struggling with the run, by stopping the run.
Yeah, I agree with that. But also at the same time, when he tried to force that ball into Tony Gonzalez a lot yesterday, which is something as a quarterback you don't want to keep keying on one receiver. What happened to the passing game to Roddy White? What happened, to getting Michael Turnaround? You have to get other players involved. He looked at Tony Gonzalez way too much yesterday. And that's what, as a quarterback, you can't do that. And that's one of those sophomore slumps that we were talking about before the season started. You can't allow somebody, a guy like Matt Ryan, to get complacent with a guy like Tony Gonzalez. As good as Gonzalez is, you can't let that happen.
Do like Drew Brees, spread the ball around.
It's crazy, but they had a good opening drive. The first drive, they smashed mouth football
80
all
yards
the way.
And score.
Yeah, that was the first time they scored on an opening possession the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
And after that, they just went away from the run.
Well, things don't get any easier from here. They play Atlanta or New Orleans next week.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about that one in a little bit. But the next game.
Next game, we had Chicago at Cincy. And that was a whooping. 45-10. That was a whooping.
Talk about revenge.
Yeah.
Speaking of, if I could go back right quick, even though it wasn't in Atlanta, where we had Keith Brooking facing his old team.
Yeah.
With this one with Cincinnati and Chicago, Cedric Benson.
Cedric Benson is
His
the own team.
own team.
Ooh.
37 rushes, 189 yards.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Especially for a guy that felt that he was blackballed. He got his revenge.
Really, when he left Chicago, everybody thought there was no way he'd find a job in the NFL again.
No way.
And guess who calls him up?
Of
The
course.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Of course.
Anybody that will take anybody that's went to jail, besides
The Dallas Cowboys.
besides Jerry Jones and the Oakland Raiders over here. It's just amazing the guy Cedric Benson come back from all that to now be the NFL's leading rusher. It's one of those rags to riches type stories. When he was caught for drunk boating 2 years ago, it kind of takes you by surprise. But then he came in with the new attitude with Marvin Lewis and the Bengals, and what's happened now? He's going to be the best rusher this year. Don't be surprised if the guy gets over 2,000 yards this year.
The only thing I hope is that he doesn't fall into the category with when Corey Dillon was there, how he had a good year
and then
fell off, and then Rudy Johnson came in, fell off, and then it's unfortunate for Chris Perry how he got injured. So now So I just hope he doesn't fall into that category.
Well, I don't think that'll happen. They got a nice nucleus there that they can build on for years to come, especially with Carson Palmer, who had 5 touchdowns in this game.
Yes.
And he was even better inside the red zone. So,
And then I have to give credit to Devin Hester. He had 8 catches for 101 yards, which is pretty